What's up, guys? So, another one bites the dust. Uh, Jay Pinnell from Motorsport Games is out. So we're just going to read the tweet that he left, and I'll give you some quick thoughts on it. This isn't going to be a long video, but it says here, yesterday marked my final day with Motorsport Games in the role of brand manager. The lessons I learned and the experiences that I had while at Motorsport Games are something that I will cherish and carry through the rest of my career. Prior to joining the organization, I was not an avid gamer, did not know the gaming space very well, nor had I understood or truly seen the impact and reach of esports. That all changed while serving as the general manager of NASCAR Heat Pro League and brand manager for both NASCAR and IndyCar gaming products. I am proud to say during my first season as GM, the ENHPL saw viewership numbers increase across the board year over year, 320%, 297% total view numbers, 64% total minutes viewed. Interacting with NASCAR teams on an entirely different level provided me even more insights into their operations, their goals, and their objectives. Managing 30 plus esports gamers was also a learning experience, but something very valuable. Throughout my time at MSG, I made lifelong connections and friendships and was able to experience some truly incredible experiences and build my experience and knowledge for years to come. For that, I will always be thankful. So, very respectful tweet. Very nice. Clearly, he understands you don't burn bridges, no matter what. And that's something I learned a long time ago. No matter how bad your work environment might be, you don't burn bridges. Even though it might be satisfying on your way out the door to take a shit on your boss's desk, you try not to do that. Because you never know what the future holds. The people that he's worked with, they're all part of this gaming industry, and you never know when they're going to be working together again in some different capacity, right? So, very respectful tweet, and just the typical type of thing you'd expect to hear from anybody, right? When they leave a job, they tell you how great it was and the experience and all that stuff. That's neither here nor there. I feel bad for him. He seems like a nice guy, but I do want to highlight a couple of things within the tweet that highlights a lot of the problems we've been witnessing, not just with Motorsport Games, but just going back the past decade or more, even all the way back to Eutechnics. It's just the people that a lot of the people that are involved in development of these type of games, a lot of them don't have the passion for NASCAR. They don't have passion for video games. It's as if they just found themselves at a job. Like, I would say the majority of people out there, if you ask people, is this what you thought you would be doing for a living? Or is this where you thought you'd end up working someday? Was this your dream? And I would say, without a doubt, the vast majority of people would say no. Most people don't really know where they're going, and they kind of fall into a path, and they just end up somewhere. I didn't know that I was going to be a stationary engineer. I didn't even know what that was. Even to this day, I have to explain to people what it is. Everybody knows, what a firefighter does, right? There are certain jobs that don't need to be explained to people. But needless to say, life circumstances, I found myself in this path, and I landed. I'm very happy with my situation. I feel very fortunate. Like, to find something that you enjoy doing and you get paid well, that's to me like hitting the lotto. Most people are not that fortunate. Very few people get to choose, like, this is what I want to be, and then follow that path and actually see it through. So, my main point is, you're witnessing people that are just kind of finding themselves in certain jobs or situations where they may not be what's best for the position. So I don't blame any of the employees at Motorsport Games. My vitriol has been mostly reserved for the guys at the top, right? They're the ones that make the decisions, they're the ones responsible. So I feel terrible for people losing their jobs or leaving for whatever reason. But I'm sure that he will land on his feet, and I can promise you, even if he picked a name out of a hat, wherever he ends up is going to be better. But as you could see here, prior to joining the organization, I was not an avid gamer, did not know the gaming space very well, nor had I understood or truly seen the impact and reach of esports. First of all, there is no big impact. I still say that this esports thing is still something that people are trying to make it into something bigger than it really is. It could be that someday down the line, esports truly does grow and become something bigger. And I'm sure that some people maybe in other spaces like maybe soccer or football or something else might say, hey, you know what, this esports thing is really it's pretty big. Like, I don't know, so I can't go that far. But when it comes to the sim racing stuff, I have to be honest, the numbers do not impress me. So I'm still, you got a long way to go to convince me that this is something. And even if it is something pretty sizable, I am not convinced that anyone developing a video game should be their first focus. That's my biggest issue, right? I don't mind that they want to introduce esports, but these guys put the cart before the horse. The horse is the game. That's what you need to focus on. If you don't have a solid, well-rounded, enjoyable product that people want to buy, this whole esports shit is meaningless. By the way, as I mentioned the other day, I don't particularly like where esports is headed in terms of the sim racing, because it does look elitist to me. I'm seeing professional drivers, and it's cool, right? If you could say 90% of the people racing are just average gamers, and then you could sprinkle in some actual celebrities and real professional drivers, that to me would be actually interesting. But I'm looking at the that Le Mans thing and all this stuff, and then you got to pay $2,000 to get in just to participate, and you got professional drivers mostly. It's like, what's the fucking point of this esports? Like, if that's just going to be another league, then let it be its own thing. Like, it's like NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, rally racing, all this stuff. And this is just another league or organization to race. That's all it is to me. Like, the whole point of sim racing is that the average Joe, like us, can be part of it. Imagine going to a NASCAR race and there's one car every race that's open, and then a lucky fan, gets called down from the stands and is like, buckle up, you're in the race. Of course, that's not a good idea, but you understand what I'm trying to say. When it comes to esports, that's what's supposed to separate it. Like, it's not about these wealthy professionals or celebrities. It's like, it looks elitist to me. But I don't want to go on a tangent. You guys know I am not impressed with esports. I don't believe in it. And building any game around that is not good. Like, that should be a side thing. That shouldn't be the fucking main focus. He admits he was not an avid gamer. And I think if you're going to be a brand manager, that's a pretty high position, right? In the hierarchy, right? On the food chain of game development. And you're not an avid gamer, it doesn't sound. It just sounds to me like he fell into this job somehow, and he was kind of learning as he went along, and that's what he talks about. You know, he learned a lot, right? But this wasn't something that he was hired because he had passion for it, that he was already into it. And when you hire people for important positions, you're supposed to hire people based on how they will fill that role, experience, passion. And all we see with this company is it's a money making scheme, right? They want to filter people into esports. You got the CEO, like I told you, he was CEO of several other companies that have nothing to do with development of video games. He's gonna just go where he smells money. That's what you have at the top of the food chain. And again, I don't want anybody to think that I'm pointing fingers at Jay Pinnell. Seems like a nice guy. I think he fell victim. Like, he's one of the people, like, he's not going to sell you that. Like I told you, he's not going to shit on the boss's desk on the way out. You don't burn bridges, right? That's just not, you just don't do it, right? Because you never know where you're going to end up. But I think he's just one of these employees who found himself that his voice wasn't being heard. It didn't really matter what he said or tried to do. You know, the people above him, they have their own agenda. And I think it's telling. This is really terrible to me. I would never hire somebody who would be like, hey, I'm not an avid gamer. Don't really know the gaming space very well. It's like you're supposed to hire people with experience and passion in those areas. So when your hiring practices are like this, what were they looking for? And it's no wonder this company is failing. Again, this is just one small piece in a much bigger, extreme. So I think that's very important. This is what sticks out to me more than anything in the whole tweet. You know what? I was on the wrong thing. I hope you guys saw that. I just I flipped the page. But yeah, I was talking about this here. And then this is another thing that sticks out to me. This is, to me, a lot of fluff. When somebody says, the ENHPL saw viewership numbers increase across the board year over year, 320%. Unique viewers, I don't know what unique viewers means. 290%, 297% total view number increase, and 64% total minutes viewed. So you look at 320%. 297%, 64%. Massive numbers. So if you're not paying attention, this is very impressive. However, 320% increase of anything doesn't signify large numbers. It just means from where you were. So if you had one person and it went to three, you added three more people, that's similar to this, right? That would be a more closer to like a 400% increase, whatever. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this number looks huge, but maybe you went from 1 to 4. It's like, that doesn't mean success. It just looks good, right? I want to know where the numbers were and where they went, like the total numbers. That will give you a better idea of what this is, right? So just because you see this massive increase, it doesn't mean that the overall number is impressive. I hope you're following that. I hope I explained that well. It could be from 10,000 to 40,000, or it could be 1 to 4. It could be anywhere, right? So this percentage increase means nothing. Interacting with NASCAR teams, more insight into that. So I don't even know if he was a hardcore NASCAR fan, right? I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it. And again, seemed like a very nice guy, and I'm sure he's going to land on his feet. I don't blame any of these people. These people are victims of, I think, a big scheme. And the way that from the very beginning it was set up for failure. Like I said, this is an incredibly important position to fill in a game development company. This is your brand manager, whatever you want to say. It's someone who's high above the actual developers. This is somebody that has a lot to say with the development. And he's not an avid gamer. Doesn't know the gaming space very well. It's like, that doesn't make sense. You're setting yourself up for failure when you hire people and they, I don't know what else to say. And if they did that with this position, could you imagine all the other positions they filled? How many of these people are avid gamers? How many of these people are NASCAR fans, understand NASCAR at its core? It's important. This is why you end up with a game that is visually impressive. Graphics are great, but it's very bare bones. It doesn't really get into details or in depth with the sport in any way. It's just it's a shiny, pretty looking game, and nothing works. And the things that are vitally important, not just in video games, but in a NASCAR video game in particular, there's no proof that anybody there is aware of any of it. And this tweet, it tells you a lot. It tells you a lot. And most of all, this stands out to me more than anything. So those are my thoughts on this tweet. It's just another domino to fall, another day. I'm sure they'll just shove someone else in there. It doesn't really matter, right? Because it's not like you're saying, well, you really lost someone with a huge passion and really understands the video gaming space and NASCAR and all that. It's like you could plug in someone else, another guy who's just going to do what the higher ups tell them to do. And I wish him well, and I don't know. Another day, another domino falling. So yeah, but they're still holding on for dear life, and we are along for the ride. So I look forward to your comments later.
I see them signaling to give me